Broadcasting live from the basketball court at the top of the Matterhorn, it's Contemporary Inc. with your host, Bill Blair, your Lorcana podcast. We actually had to move into this cast member only area because I couldn't get good cell reception in the park, and I needed to make a long distance phone call. We've actually got our first guest today. It's a brand new design. 22 episodes in, and we finally decided to talk to someone else. I've met this guy before. He's super cool, and I thought we'd check in on a young G's perspective. Someone in the trenches every day, slinging cards. So without further ado. So we've got Burke here. He works at a local game store just down the street. I've mentioned them before. And he's going to fill us in on some of the ins and outs of what Lorcana looks like from the hardworking men and women who sell the cards every day. Burke, introduce yourself.
Hi there, I'm Burke. I work at the Days of Nights in Newark, Delaware, and I love games and I love selling them, and I really like Lorcana. I hope it does well.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to. I actually had a friend of mine text me, he friend of the show, and he's like, I can't find cards. I went to Best Buy and Target and Walmart, and I couldn't find anything. And I said, well, you know, if you listen to the show, you're not alone in that. Have you looked at your local game store? Well, he's not a local game store kind of guy. Yeah. So, you know, he probably doesn't even know that there's like 3 places within a 10-minute drive from his house. And they're sold out too.
It's sad to say. It's as a game seller, I'm familiar with Ravensburger. They're a good publisher, but they have messed this up pretty badly. It is really hard.
Drop the ball is the feeling around my house.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're back. We had a little microphone mishap, so it's going to sound a little different, but no worries. I think we were talking about your love of games and what you want to see Ravensburger do in the future.
Well, okay. So obviously they got to get those print runs up, and they need to slow the releases down. The fact that people were still starving for cards by the time they put out the second set, and there's even less of that available. It's terrible. It's nobody's.
It's insulting.
And they've even botched. They had a pre-release for that on their own site. I don't know if you've heard about this, but on the 22nd, they tried to do a pre-release for Floodborne, and they had a denial of service attack on it, and it crashed. I was actually in it because our store got no Floodborne, no boxes, no boosters. Just
when you told me that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of people, you are the local game store, and
right.
with places up in just a few miles away charging like $35 for booster packs, it's nice that you guys charge a MSRP and are super cool when you do get cards.
Yeah, it's real frustrating. And customers get frustrated with us all the time, and it's sad. I mean. And I have seen other games come and go that, super hot at first, but then they couldn't meet demand, and then they died out real quick.
So this, can you give an example? I've been out of the game for a while.
Yeah. So there was the dice game, Marvel Dice Masters. That was like a collectible card game with dice.
Okay.
And it was real popular. People really wanted it, and there was not enough to meet demand. And by the time that product got out there, people didn't really care about it as much anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah. Similar deal with Star Wars Destiny, which was another dice game, collectible dice game. That one was really fun, but short-lived. For similar reasons. People were crazy about it. And, the people that get this stuff right away are pretty hardcore about it. It's like, if we can't get a whole box, what are we doing, you know?
Oh yeah, and for those of you at home, there's six colors in Lorcana, and so in that first set of 204 cards, you're only looking at like 35 cards of each color. And if you want to put a deck together, you're going to need a substantial investment, almost an entire box if you're just opening booster packs, just to get enough cards to make a deck, let alone something competitive.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
And for a lot of people, ordering cards on eBay or, some other third-party seller just kind of takes the fun out of it. Really isn't an option.
Yeah. I was fairly lucky. I have three buddies who we all got a box of the first set. And so we put together our decks and basically traded, for what we wanted out of the stuff we didn't have. But, I would say the total number of boxes we got for the first chapter was less than 20.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
and you guys are like, one of the cornerstone stores for this part of the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And for those of you not familiar with Newark, Delaware, it's a college town. So there's families, there's established adults, many of which who are going to be into gaming, and there's a lot of kids in the college age. And do you see who do you see coming in looking for Lorcana cards?
Basically everyone, adults mostly, every age. More. Go ahead.
All the kids that I've talked to have been chaperoned by adults, and then I talk to those adults as well. And, they're out there sometimes buying cards for a family of 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. And I think this would make a great family game as well. I think there's a lot to like about it for the kids. I had one girl, this adorable little girl who she didn't speak very much, but she knew how to say Mickey and Minnie. And so when I discovered that, I was like, here, I have these cards. Why don't you take one of each? They're commons, but what does she care? It's got Mickey and Minnie on it. And
yeah.
So it was pretty sweet. And I think, there's certainly, this game could appeal to pretty much anybody. So.
Where would you put it on the scale of like collectible card games that you've got experience with? Because there's obviously Pokemon, which is for like younger kids. Magic has really turned into something for like adults in the last few decades. Where would you put Lorcana on that spectrum?
I think probably the closest thing would be something a little more obscure, but what's that Blizzard one? There's a computerized one from Blizzard Entertainment, Hearthstone.
Yes.
Which is a really great game. So like a lot of the games that have come since Magic are doing a similar thing, but they're doing it better. So the Blizzard one was the first one to it was the World of Warcraft card game. It was the first game to do what Lorcana does with ink, which is at certain cards, you just put them face down and now they're your mana source. That is brilliant. And like, I love that design choice over Magic because you don't have, instead of a 60 card deck with 20 cards that you don't care about, basic land, you get 60 cards that are all, you want to play all of them or not, if the situation doesn't require it, but it gives the player a lot more choice, which I love. If Magic could go back and lose its original if they were going to restart it, I think that's how I would do it. But obviously they can't do that with Magic. But anyway.
Now, do you guys have a back room for people to play in.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, a play space. And how many people can you comfortably accommodate back there?
Comfortably, 30. We've crammed as many as 50 in there, but
Wow, okay, that's a lot bigger than I get. You know what? Your back room is completely hidden. I didn't even know it was there last time I was in. Um, so I want so you but you guys didn't have the throughput to host an official league night. And with by official I mean get the attention of Ravensburger.
yeah, no. There was they did a lottery actually, and
Oh, perfect.
yeah, and we did not win the lottery. My understanding is that nobody in Delaware did. Um,
Well,
and so,
I've been to Middletown,
mm,
and they have giveaways, but I don't know if they're like cards that they buy themselves and then give out as
yeah,
prizes, like to get traffic in the door. Because
uh,
let me tell you, if you were in Middletown, I kind of far away, uh,
yeah.
but you know, I was definitely heard people say, "Oh no, I got like a Tinkerbell something or other last time I was here."
Wow. Well, good for them. I we just simply have not had. We've had interest in it, but not in the there's just not enough cards to go around. This just doesn't
Oh
work.
yeah, I mean, no, I was you know, still even like how long has it been? This is the 21st episode of this podcast. Just to give you an idea of just how long the game has been out for, even though it, you know, 2023 has been an absolute dumpster fire. So it feels like it's been at least a decade since January.
Agreed. Yeah. Um, we first got it in August, and yeah, let me tell you, every day since release in August, I've had at least one or two people calling in and saying, "Do you have Lorcana?" Nope, sorry, still don't have it, and that is demoralizing. Let me tell you.
Well,
Um,
when I came in and got some packs from you guys that one day that you had them, I felt like I had again won the lottery. And
yeah,
I brought those packs home and thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to open like one a day. And that lasted about 20 minutes because I opened them all in like, you know, 15 minutes and that was it.
it's
They were
tough
all
not.
open. And there's a box behind me and you look at it and you're like that was that many packs. It doesn't look like a lot.
Yeah.
And but I thankfully was able to I've been using the online tool, what do they call it, Pixelborn dot
Okay.
inc to
Yeah.
uh yeah, I've been using it to build decks
Hmm.
and sort of try them out. And the prevailing wisdom right now is a lot of the cards that I was able to get from the packs that I was able to open are going to be usable building the backbone of this deck. I thankfully the online tool offers a pricing feature, and
Uh-huh.
this evasive deck that I like slapped together one morning only cost $50. I'm sure yeah, real like, and it's mostly like commons and stuff because
Yeah.
thankfully a lot of the evasive cards are more available
You're
and
right.
therefore less expensive. But you know, I frankly do not like buying cards on the secondary market. It
Yeah.
just seems I don't know. There's something about getting you. When I first started playing Magic the Gathering back in like 1995,
Hmm.
you only had really access as and especially as a kid to the cards that you were able to get through packs and like starter decks and things. And
Right.
as far as, you know, you'd go to your local game store and they'd have that Mox sitting there, but it was like $100. And what kid had $100 for one trading card in
Yeah.
1995? But do you guys sell singles?
We did not. Well, we some singles for Magic.
Okay.
Um, but we yeah, we didn't get enough product for to open. So for Magic, what we do is we open two boxes fill out a book with that, and then people can buy and sell from it, and then we'll buy some of theirs too.
Nice.
And that keeps it fresh relatively. So yeah, we haven't been able to put together a book for Lorcana. If it becomes popular enough, I would encourage the boss to do one. I think there's certainly enough interest, and it'll help spread all those commons around. Like, people can actually play with them. I have a stack of about 500 commons that I don't need. So
now, do you okay? So you got cards. You're playing. It sounds like
a little bit. Yeah.
What do you think about the modes of play that are being used right now, and like opportunities for the future? Because I was looking through the new cards that just came out with the Floodborne expansion, and I'm like, a great item deck is going to exist in the next 6 months, and it's going to blow everything away. But it can't exist right now because there's not enough cards for it.
Right. Yes. I think that, you see certain things like, banish an item, and you're like, oh, come on, I'm not going to take a chance on somebody using an item to play this card on them. So,
There's a Moana card that all it does is immediately banish another card. And I've never seen anybody play with that card. So why would you want that Moana card in your deck?
Yeah. But if that other card becomes very powerful, or it combos with something, that's one thing about these games. It's it could be next month, it could be years from now. Sometimes surprising things happen where you're like, this old card is suddenly really interesting.
There was a thing that happened in I think it was 1994 or something. Magic thought that islands were too powerful, so they banned islands, which made playing blue kind of a pain.
Yeah,
too. And then somebody remembered that in the Arabian Nights expansion, you got islands in the packs, except they weren't called islands, they were just island without the S. Because they're real semantics sticklers about that, they were like, oh, well, island is a playable card. And suddenly these common throwaway cards from 3 years prior became the hottest cards in the game.
Yeah. But so the other thing I really like the idea of is the comboing of the characters who are weaker with the same named character. You can what's that called? When you upgrade them.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of opportunity for that in the future as well.
It's like a fundamental mechanic, but I haven't seen the opportunity to use it a lot.
Yeah, same. I am trying it with. I have an Aladdin deck with, weak Aladdins and a big red one that's stronger.
Oh yes.
But I'm not sure it's all that great, but it's it's fun. But I think there's a lot of opportunity in the design space for more things like that.
I think there's a lot of features to this game that they're sleeping on.
Yeah.
And frankly, with a first set of 204 cards, there just isn't enough room in probably even these first two sets for all the play features to really stretch their wings and make themselves known.
Yeah, especially because I think there's a lot of those sort of, Donald Duck not really doing anything cards. You know what I mean? There's no special ability. It's just, here's Donald and here's his stats. I'm not sure if there is actually. I think there is. The red one, I think, doesn't have anything.
The robot pants doesn't do anything.
Robot, yeah, okay. but so I mean, those are things like those will appeal to kids, um, and so people like us that want a deeper experience are just going to kind of whatever. We don't need those. Um, but that's taking up a slot in their set list. That when they release a set, it's like, all right, here's all these basic ones that are like, meh. Um, it's like in Pokemon, you got to have Pikachu, right? Even though nobody that's serious about it will play with Pikachu, but he's the mascot. So,
Well, how about this? Have you had a chance to pick through the starter decks that came out with the Floodborne expansion?
I have not.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
you are gonna love it. As far as theming goes, the Evil Queen one not only includes the Evil Queen, but Snow White and the Prince and all seven dwarves.
Wow.
And not only do you get all seven dwarves, you get like two or three of each one. So you end up with like 16 dwarves in a deck of 60 cards.
That's pretty wild. That's a big.
They Oh yeah, they all play off of each other
Mhm.
with fun little mechanics. Like Sleepy comes into play exerted because he's asleep, and what's his name? Bashful can't quest on his own. He needs another dwarf to go with him because he's bashful.
Yeah.
And if anything happens to Dopey,
Mhm.
the rest of the dwarves get +2 for not only your turn, but your opponent's turn as well.
Wow.
One of the things they've added is instead of the power of the character only happening on that one turn, your
Mhm.
turn basically, it now carries over for a lot of cards for your turn and all your opponent's turns.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're finally getting some broad coverage for these powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is interesting. So my Magic buddies, one of the things that Lorcana they feel is a step down is the idea that in Lorcana you're just doing stuff on your turn, and there's not that back and forth on your opponent's turn where you can jump in and mess with their plans and stuff. It sounds like this is a good way to get around that a little bit.
Yeah, because it sets up changes that stay in effect
Mhm.
later.
Yeah.
There's definitely problems of like, oh well, I can exert an opponent's card, but only on my turn. Like,
Mhm.
wouldn't it be more useful if I could also do it on my opponent's turn?
Oh yeah. For
And
sure.
I'm sure things like that will come into play later. But again, we're only 408 cards into this game. Well, that was thrilling. I don't think we've ever had a guest on before, but here we are doing all kinds of new things. Is there anything you'd like to add before you take yourself on home?
Well, I'd say if you're ever in the Delaware area, please drop by Days of Nights in Newark. Um, yeah, we like games. We love playing them. And you want to play a little Lorcana with me? Let me know. Um, that's it. And thanks for having me on the podcast. It was really
Oh,
fun.
anytime. No, Days of Nights is Northern Delaware's premier game store. And if you are in town, please stop by. They have a fantastic selection of both new and used board games that I don't think I've ever seen so many copies of Monopoly in one place.
Yeah,
Anyway, okay. Well, that was great. I'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by.
thanks. So long.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I think that went really well. If you liked listening to guests on the show, drop us a message in one of our many social media outlets. We'd love to hear from you. We're on Instagram and YouTube. Stop on by. I've been up here so long, I think they may have turned the lights off. I'm probably going to have to find my way down in the dark. But before that, ashes to ashes, funk to funky. We know Mr. Toad's a junkie.